right, everybody, it's Petri here. We're having a really fun time. We're doing a little bit of a different video right now, but it's nonetheless something really important that we always try to keep in mind with my channel. Is I'm always going to try to do a little bit of different subject matter and content for you. As a watercolor artist, I want you to stay excited about watercolors. I want you to do some different things here and there once in a while. I don't want you to get bored and quit and give up and, put your paints and your paintbrushes and your paper to the side and not continue to create. I want you to continue to always create your watercolors, have fun. This is what I thought would be a great way to actually just have a interesting insight into the portrait paintings and the eyes. So we're going to do some eyes here. We're going to paint these really quickly. We're not going to take forever. This is not going to be a long drawn out video. We're going to take maybe the next half an hour at most and just create some beautiful eyes here on a painting I did about a year ago. I'm just zooming in and kind of focusing in on the eyes, and we'll just do that, and that's it. So basically, I already started drawing the pencil drawing, so this way we'll save a little time. We don't have to spend, again, like an hour or two painting this and drawing this and so forth. So basically, I just drew the eyes here, and I just matched what I did here, and I just drew it down here in the bottom of this area here where we have a nice bit of paper, watercolor paper. And then the thing I wanted to mention was, basically, when you're drawing eyes on the human form, when you're doing portrait painting and you're drawing the human face and the human form, basically you're always going to notice that the eyes are usually always the space between the two eyes of the human head are usually 90% of the time always going to be about one eye length between the two eyes. So, if you take one eye here and you say, all right, how much distance, again, we'll just look at it here and say, how much distance between these two eyes? And if we set our pencil down here and we say, okay, that's about that much there, where my pointer finger is right there. That's the first eye. And if we slide it over, you'll see that it's about the same. It's one eye length between these two eyes. That's really helpful. If you can always remember that rule, there's always one eye length between the two eyes on the human head for the most part. For even most all views of the human head, you'll be really, really ahead of the game. So I did the same thing here. I took my two eyes. I drew my first eye here in pencil, and I just basically copied this. I tried to keep the same kind of idea here. The eye, this painting, you can see that the person that I was painting, their eyes were looking to the right this way. And also, too, we notice that the light is coming from the right-hand side this way. So you're going to see that the eye, the head, the human head here, and the eye area, the eye socket, and the eye itself is being lit really well by the light coming from this way. And then over here, this area is in shadow. So the bridge of the nose of this portrait, the bridge of the nose here is blocking the light here. So you'll see the shadow. You see that dark shadow? That's over here. So that's going to be dark shadow over here when we paint this side. So essentially, when you see the light coming from one direction, it's going to cast shadows, and it casts a shadow right here where the bridge of the nose is and the eye socket. And we just always remember that the eyes are inset into the human skull to protect the eye. So the eye does inset into the human head or into the skull for protection. So if something was to bump into the skull, the eye is protected by the eye sockets, which are, indented into the eye area of the head. So these are all little details about the eye. I don't want to get too much into the super, detailed about this painting, but I just want to kind of cover a little bit of interesting details about the eye. It's a beautiful kind of thing to paint. We're going to have a lot of fun here. And we always know, hey, the eyes are the windows of the soul. When we meet somebody and when we're socializing, we always look at people's eyes. So that's all I wanted to mention, was that it is an exciting thing to paint. And I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube, actually. I used to watch them quite often, and I would have such a fun time watching them because, it is fun. We all are attracted to everyone's eyes when we're, meeting people, our family, our loved ones, our friends, whoever it is. We always look at people's eyes first, and that's kind of the idea here. Let's have a fun time rendering the eyes here. It's kind of exciting to paint the eyes. I hope you're going to have a fun time with this. All right, so let's keep going here. So we have the eyes, and we drew the eye sockets here, and the eyes and the iris and the pupils here, both sides. Again, we're just taking this idea and we're just bringing it right down here to our new sheet of paper, our watercolor paper here. And now that we have the basics of it, we kept one eye length distance between each eye. We did the same thing here. One eye length distance between the two eyes. And then we just remembered that this person that I painted a year ago from a photograph, they were looking this way to the right. So their eyes are sitting more, over to the right side of where their eyelids are and where their eyes are turning. So I think we have that pretty well. Let's get painting. So let's get some paint mixed up here. We'll mix some flesh tones to start with, and that's what we'll do. We'll mix some flesh tones, get that on the paper first, and then we'll let that dry. So we're kind of using a glazing method here. So we're going to have some cadmium red, and then a little bit of the yellow ochre. Okay, and then we just add a little more water to it. Maybe a little bit of burnt sienna too. There we go. Maybe a little bit of alizarin crimson. That's my flesh tone right there. What I'll do is I'll take my watercolor brush and I'm just going to start to cover the whole bit of paper here. Just like this. And I'll leave the whites of the eyes in there. And I'm hoping you're enjoying this. This is a lot of fun. Painting the eyes is just so much fun. Okay, so here we go. I'm just kind of basically copying what's up here. There we go. Just like that. And you can even do a little bit of color in here like that, where the irises and the pupils are like that. And I cover all the paper there. There we go. I cover all the paper there. And there we have it. First wash. We're doing like a glazing technique here, so you can imagine we'll get that first wash on and let it dry 100% before we go back in again and start getting our darker shadows. So I hope you'll remember that. We are sort of using the glazing technique here. Get that first light wash in to get all our flesh tones around here. Bridge of the nose, the forehead, under the eyes here on the cheekbones, the zyggomatic arches over here on the cheekbones. We get our flesh tones on here, and there we go. Now, we let that dry 100%, and then we come back and we'll get our darker tones in here, and you'll kind of see we're going to use some darker burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, and we're going to use some blue for the eyes, just a touch of blue, and we're going to use some, what else are we going to use here? I think maybe a little bit of cobalt blue and cerulean blue too for some of the shadows, but this is pretty nice. This is going to work out good. So let's come back in just a minute. Let this dry 100%. You can use a blow dryer now at this point. So if you want to go quickly and do this tutorial quickly, You could use a blow dryer to blow dry this wash right now, this lighter wash of, we have cadmium red, a little bit of alizarin crimson, and then some yellow ochre mixed in there to give ourselves a nice flesh tone like this. And again, you can blow dry it to go quicker, or you can let this dry like an hour or two and then come back and work on it, or the next day, or whenever you have time. But I'm going to do the blow dryer here, dry this off quickly, and we'll come right back and we'll start working on the darker shadows here and so forth. Okay, we'll be right back. All right, let's keep moving along here. Let's get some shadows started for our eyes. So I might just take a little bit of paper towel and lift up over here. I'll just lift up a little bit of that paint, but we can use some of that to mix in with our darker shadows here. So what I'll do is I'll probably start to work on my irises and pupils here. So let's do some burnt umber, raw umber. So I'm going to use raw umber, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue. And we'll get a little bit of that kind of a grayish, warm gray, like the, that little bit of blue, French ultramarine blue in the burnt umber and the burnt sienna makes a nice kind of a warm gray color. Maybe even a little bit of the cerulean blue there. And we'll just do this. We'll just sort of, we'll start to get that in there, that color. Like that. And always a great thing is to have your tissue on hand to dry off your brush a little bit like that, to take off some of that water. You see how much water comes off? When I rinse my brush, if I dry off some of that water on the tissue, it's really, really helpful. And then I can take a little bit of this and do a little bit of the, like that, along the eye there. Okay, and let's go right over here and we'll do the same thing over here. Let's get the iris like that. And we'll darken up along the top here, along the underside of the upper eyelid, like that. That looks pretty good. And then we'll just keep doing the same thing. French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna. Maybe a little bit of cerulean blue too. And let's just come along here and just come along the top of the eyelid. Underside of the eyelid, we want a shadow there. Like that. We kind of see how we have that shadow there. That looks good. For the light coming this way, we're seeing some shadow under there. And the same thing over here too. We're seeing quite a bit of shadow over here. Like that. And then we're going to get some even darker darks going here. We want to have like that. We want a darker shadow under here. Like that. And then let's kind of add some more shadow over here. Like that. And that's going to be kind of darker over here. And there is quite a bit of dark shadow here, so we're doing the same thing. French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, raw umber, cerulean blue, kind of mixing up the, and this kind of goes across here like that. And it's all dark up this way, so let's kind of get that in there. Maybe a little bit of green in there too. Why not? Add a little bit of green. A little bit of green in there too. Burnt sienna, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue always gives you a great dark. And there we go. We're just going to like that. We'll try to just keep taking this and emulating it down below here. So there's some green in there. Blue. Like that. Quite a bit of dark here you can kind of see there. Okay, and then we're going to start working in these dark shadows over here, somewhat, not extremely dark, but there is some, it kind of goes right into where the eye, the pupil and the iris is here, like that. You can kind of see we have this bit of the lower eyelid there. And I sometimes blot up a little bit. There we go. We can add more darks there. Like that. Take a little more dark brown, so burnt umber and French ultramarine blue. There we go. And then we soften that out over here a little bit. Like that. So I'm just kind of blending the colors to give me the same kind of medium tonal value. You can kind of see that here. This is like a medium tonal value through here. Darks here. Pretty much darks all through here. Like that. And we'll go back in here and do some more darks because you can kind of see I may have had an issue with my paint. But we can come back in here once this dries over here where I'm painting right now. Once that dries, we can go in and get a little bit of a darker dark like this here. But we are sort of going along pretty nicely. And let things dry if you know, like that. And then we will take some and some raw umber. And I also added some viridian green there too, you can kind of see. And then over here, this kind of comes over there like that. So there is a little bit of a shadow here. A little bit of the grayish color there. That comes over here and then starts to work in up here. And this is kind of light over here. There's a lot of light in the picture over here because of this light. We're noticing the light's coming from this direction. So over here it's a little lighter. So we just kind of remember to leave this a little bit lighter. This is more dark over here, where the shadows are, to cast shadows of the light across the bridge of the nose. And there's also a little bit of and there's some more shadows under here, under the underside of this eyelid here. Like that. Like that. A little bit there. Darker darks, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, a little bit of Viridian green too, like that. Okay, a little bit of shadow there. And again, I'm using this as my reference. Quite a bit of light on this side. Over here is more shadows. And I think you are having a lot of fun doing this exercise, doing some eyes. We're focusing in on one part of the human portrait painting, the eyes. That's all we're doing really here. Is same thing as if you might practice sketching or drawing portrait paintings. Maybe you start out and you start drawing and doing pencil drawings of the eyes. So this is kind of the same thing. We're just kind of drawing and penciling in the eyes of the human form, having some fun with it, and it is exciting. The human eye is always fun to draw and paint, I think. And that is, we are coming to a conclusion here because we are really getting a good bit of likeness to what we have up here. So once you start to really feel like you have the same kind of look up here, maybe we have some cobalt blue here. Let's get some cobalt blue on the and it's fun to add a little bit of blue in there if you want. Raw umber, and then a little bit of the French ultramarine blue. We'll blend that in like that. You can kind of see the dark like that. There's some dark over here too, like that. A little bit of blue up here. Cerulean you can use too. All right, best to let this dry right now. We've done a lot of washes. Let's let this dry. We'll come back and do a few more washes over the top of this, but I think we are pretty much getting close to having this completed. Most of all, we had a fun time doing this. All right, let me take a quick break for 5 minutes. We'll let this dry. I'm going to use the blow dryer to blow dry this off, and then we're going to pretty much, I think, get in some final touches. I think actually we'll just do some highlights. We'll use some titanium white in the tube here. We'll use some titanium white with just a small brush here like this, a round brush with some highlights, and we'll just put some highlights on here, and I think we'll be fine. And then you'll kind of see how we really did get a really nice likeness of this portrait with the eyes, and we just want to add maybe a little bit more shadow in there. That looks pretty good. Okay, Let's dry this with a blow dryer, or you can let it dry for a couple hours, an hour, let's say, just so that you can go back in and do some highlights. So we'll come right back in about 5 minutes or so. All right, so we are finishing up here. Let's just get some highlights in here. So we kind of noticed that we did replicate what we saw up here above. We just kind of took this and transitioned it down over to this lower section here with our new paper, watercolor paper. And so now let's we're going to take some titanium white. So I have a tube of titanium white paint, watercolor paint. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre to the top of the paint, just to make the titanium white is actually stark white. We want to add a little bit of that yellow ochre to the white, just to make it a little bit of a warmer white color. That'll look better with our painting, because we have lots of warm reds and cadmium reds and golds in our flesh tones, so we don't want to make a stark white bit of highlights with our paint if we don't add a little bit of that yellow ochre. So that's all we're really going to worry about, is making sure we have a little bit of yellow ochre, just a tiny bit, into the top of the tube of the paint. I have a good brush with a point on it there, and it's a very small brush. This is a number, I think this is a number 4 travel brush, Charles Reed travel brush. Escoda makes these travel brushes, and this is the Charles Reed signature series. I buy these for traveling and vacation, things like that. So let's start over here, and we'll get the highlights up here. We can kind of see that one there. This is kind of like maybe a 2 o'clock shadow or a 1 o'clock shadow on the eyeball, or the actual iris or pupil area of the eye. So let's just do that. Let's get a little dot of light. Look how good that looks. Wow, beautiful. And then another maybe dot or two. There we go, just right. Then we come over here and we'll say this one's the same thing, about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. There we go. Wow, look how good that looks. Now, what we'll do is we'll take a tissue, dry off a little bit of that paint, that white paint that we just were doing our highlights with. We just want to add a little bit of highlight here, but not too much. We just want to add a little bit of the whites of the eyes underneath this here. I think I lost that white there. So I wanted to just recapture that light bit of white of the eye underneath this iris here, like that. And as you can see, we have a completed composition here, doing some gorgeous eyes. We had fun with this, did we not? I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If it's your first time here, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. If you're just tuning in the first time on my videos, you might be thinking, wow, this is really interesting. I also do lots of videos on every type of watercolor paintings you can imagine. Boat paintings, flower paintings, seascapes, landscapes. We do, again, figure painting, portrait painting. We do every type of watercolor painting you can imagine here on this channel. We cover all the methods and techniques of watercolor. So I'm hoping that you will, if it's your first time, I'm hoping you're going to subscribe on the right-hand side below. Just click the subscribe button. This way you don't lose me, and you can follow along each week, and whenever you want to join along and paint with us, so you can do that. And again, I always mention that I cover all the basic methods and techniques of watercolor, so you're always going to get the fundamentals of watercolor on my videos constantly on each video, so that you kind of really, after maybe working with me on YouTube here for maybe 6 months or a year, you'll have the fundamentals really down, and you'll be painting really good-looking paintings by half a year to a year's time. If you're just putting in a little bit of work each weekend and maybe practicing some drawing on the weekdays a little bit, 10, 15 minutes a day, you're really going to make a lot of progress. So don't worry. Stick with me here. We're going to have lots of fun on my channel. Again, thumbs up if you like this video. I always mention that. And comments in the comment section. Ask questions. in the comments section if you have questions, or just say hi. I'm always interested in going into the comments section myself and saying hi to you, because I'm really happy that you're here painting with me, and we're all together here on the watercolor journey. So we're all artists, watercolor artists. We're working, getting better with our paintings, moving forward, working hard towards getting better looking paintings all the time. So glad you're here. Glad you joined me here on this painting. And again, I thought you would really enjoy this. And there's going to be many people, I think, that follow this actual video that maybe are not my regular. I know many of you follow me on a regular basis, but there's going to be a lot of people that like this video because eyes are a really fun subject. People really, I've seen videos where millions of views on on YouTube with people painting eyes. So I think we're going to get a lot of views on this. Not that we're trying to get a lot of views, but I know people really do enjoy painting the eyes. The eyes are the windows of the soul, as we always say. And whenever we meet somebody, or we're talking with our family members or friends or coworkers, we're always looking everybody in the eyes. So we're all automatically drawn to the eyes. So let's have a fun time creating this. Try this a couple times. If you don't get the hang of it the first time, we'll try it 2 or 3 times. Don't worry about it. Have a fun time with it. Enjoy the watercolor journey. It's a journey, so you just make a start, and keep going. We make progress every week, every month, and year after year. We're always here painting with you. So see you on the next video. And again, happy painting, everybody. Thanks for, again, watching. Thanks for all your support. I know many of you have bought my books. I want to thank you for that. I always put a link in the description below. I have a new book out, Watercolor Methods for Success. It's got tons of my paintings in there. If you buy it, you can just have oodles of paintings of mine. You can work on copying those and painting those, having a great time with it. And all right, I'm excited about watercolors. Let's get buckled down and have some good practice in there. Everybody practice your 10, 15 minutes every day of your drawing, pencil drawings or pen drawings. And then on the weekends, we do the watercolors together here on YouTube, okay? All right. See you soon. Bye-bye.